Good morning to all of you. In the last class, we have tried to understand what is geography and different terminologies that has been associated with the geography. Then we have also tried to understand what is this continental drift and plate tectonics and how it is responsible for the formation of different continents as we see today. Initially, when the earth was formed, it was a single mass, what you call Pangea. Later, it divided into two pieces. One is Eurasia and another one is Gondwana. Then, because of the plate tectonics, the present day state of the earth has been arranged, formed, and today we see different continents and other. I have also told you that was a part of Gondwana. Later it hit, got separated and hit the Eurasian part, and that is the reason for the origin of our Himalayan mountains. So that's why the Himalayan mountains are considered as the youngest mountains. These are the things which we have tried to understand. Though it was not in your syllabus, I have taken it for the very simple reason that we will be able to understand the geography if we have some information about this, especially the plate tectonics and continental drift. With this background or the knowledge that we have imbibed today, I would like to start with the actual syllabus which speaks about the animal distribution. Of course, understanding this animal distribution is not a new thing for the students of geology or biology. Because when you study different animals, different taxa, you may be wondering, we say that some are endemic, some are cosmopolitan, or some are found only in this region. You may be wondering why it's so. Why these animals are, all animals I am talking, are found or they have become endemic? Why some of them are cosmopolitan? So in this class, we will try to find an answer for this. Not only that, we should also try to understand the different patterns of this animal distribution. Why it's so, how it's so, what was their distribution something few hundred million years back, and what is the present state. All those things we are going to discuss in this animal distribution. Because the entire geography tries to explain the pattern of animal distribution. Not only the pattern of animal distribution, they are also concerned with why they are so, what is the pattern, and what are the factors also. Evolution happens in some remote corner of the world or even in maybe the ocean. Once an organism evolves in certain place, from there it has to spread. During this process of spreading from the region of their evolution or origin to other parts of the world has been limited by so many things. as they are limited by so many parameters. They are also promoted by number of other factors. There are certain factors which promote the dispersal. At the same time, there are equally good number of factors which limit the dispersal. That means any organism which can come over these barriers of limitation, they will disperse or distribute themselves in the vast expanse of this universe. Any organism which fail to cross over this or jump these factors which limit them, they get confined to only certain pockets. To give an example, human being, we say that human beings evolved in some of the African caves, but virtually now human being has colonized each and every landmass of this world. So that's why everywhere, in every continent, you can see the presence of human beings. Same is true for house mice, cockroaches also. They are able to live almost anywhere on the earth. When human beings, house mice, cockroaches are found in almost every part of the earth, why not other organisms? There are so many other organisms, what we call endemic organisms, or the organisms which have a very limited dispersal. Why so for them? So these are the things all living beings want to find the answer. Being the student of geology, you may be more curious to know about this. Even for a layman also, this is of some sort of curiosity. So in this process of animal distribution, so many factors, parameters, as I have told you, some promote dispersal, some limit dispersal. So this has caused the distribution pattern of the animal all over the world non-uniform. Sometimes you can easily explain why the animals are distributed as they are. Similar type of habitats may be seen elsewhere also, but they are not found there. They may be found only in certain continents. In spite of the other continents having the same type of habitat, they are not found there. The easiest answer that one can give is these continents are separated, maybe because of the vast expanse of sea or some other factors. Even if you take the example of one region or ecosystem, a particular species may be absent there. That species may be found in other regions having the similar animal assemblage, but in one particular region a particular species may be absent. In rest of the habitats the species may be there. Then how do you explain this? The best possible answer anyone can give is because this animal fails to cross the barrier, or in other words, there's a barrier which prevents this particular species to go and get colonized. So these are some of the simplest answer even a layman can give. But being the students of geology or biology, you are expected to know much more. So all those things we will try to solve this puzzle. Even in many cases, the study of the past says that there are many organisms which were found in other parts also at present where they are not found. We say that in those regions that organisms have become extinct. Fossil records shows that the same type of animal flourished in those regions. But from which they are now absent. Now they are not seen there. They have become extinct. And we all of us know that something must have happened in that region. The organisms which have moved out of that region must have survived and flourished elsewhere, but in a particular location they might have become extinct. To give a very good example, the camels. Actually, camels originated in North America. If you trace back the origin of the camels, that takes us to North America, where till today you can get some of the camel fossils. Many times the camel fossils are unearthed there. Even during the Pleistocene epoch, the camels were found Alaska to Eurasia to Africa. Even today we see those true camels there in Eurasia and Africa. Even if you go to South America, true camels may not be there, but their cousins, I can say that. Closely related individuals like llamas, alpacas, or bonobos, vicunas, they are all found in South Africa. They are not true camels, but they are closely related to camels. But what is the fate of North America now? North America doesn't have camels. The why is so? First, all of us agree to the fact that Earth's surface is undergoing constant change. However small the changes may be. In the plate tectonics, I have told you where the earth crust is made out of number of plates and they break, unite and spread. Break, unite, break, re-break and spread. As a result of which, Earth's surface is undergoing constant change. Along with this plate tectonics, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and other factors also contribute to a larger extent. Many land areas, what we see today, were once covered with sea. Fertile plains, what we have today, might have been a desert long back. A new mountain barriers must have originated. Whatever the ice fields inhospitable where no life is possible might have been experiencing a warmer climate long back. All the To give one example, I can quote our own Himalayan mountains. Where Himalayan mountains are not there, even when Eurasia and Gondwana were separated, Pangea formation and then separation. It's only the later part when Indian part got separated from the Gondwana and then hit the Eurasia. At the point of hitting the Himalayan mountains, arise. So that's why earlier the reason where Himalayan mountains were there, it was a sea. So that's why in many times when you go for excavation in the Himalayan mountains, you can see many of the marine fossils of the marine organisms, especially gastropods and all those things. That clearly indicate us that once there was a ocean, and whatever the landmass in the name of Himalaya that we see is the present day formation. So that's why we call Himalayan mountain as the youngest mountain. So like this, so many changes on the surface of the earth is undergoing continuously. There is no full stop for this. Even the continental drift was not a sudden. It was also very, very gradual over millions of years time period. So this continuous geological changes on the surface of the earth is considered as the reason for the alteration in the distribution pattern. Both animals and plants, I should say that. These geological changes, which are continuous, are responsible for much of the alteration that has happened with respect to the distribution of animals and plants. This same plate continental drift or the constant change that's happening in the geography of the earth has also put a powerful influence on this organic evolution. All of you know organic evolution is the cumulative effect of number of factors last year you have studied. So this geological changes which are continuous are one among them. If you take any animal, even including the human beings, none of them are uniformly distributed on land, even in freshwater also. You can see all animals are restricted to within a region also. They are not uniformly distributed. They are restricted to certain places because Here also the distribution pattern of the animals and plants are influenced by several factors like climatic condition, food, shelter, flora and fauna. By this, what we have understood is uniform distribution of the animals is more theoretical. If you practically observe them, that appears false many a time. Though here and there are certain examples. Generally speaking, uniform distribution of any animal in any region is a myth. When we say uniform, uniform distribution of the animal is very hard to see, then we should know what are the other categories of distribution. Do the animal distribution follows any particular principle or not? Yes, of course. There are certain principles which had led to the formation of three categories with respect to the animal distribution. One is the continuous distribution, second one is the discontinuous distribution, and the third one is the bipolar distribution. Probably for the convenience of our study, we can follow this distribution pattern. That is continuous, discontinuous, and bipolar distribution. First, we will try to understand this distribution pattern. The animals which are adapted to wide variety of environmental conditions, and if those animals are not very specific to particular type of food, and if they are having a mechanism to cross the barrier, barrier may be anything, sea, oceans, or mountains, or different climatic conditions. If the animals are having some special power to cross the barrier, how? Either by flight or rafting or swimming. And finally, if they have the flexibility to adapt themselves to the new environmental conditions, the pattern of distribution becomes continuous. Only eurytopic organisms can do this, or the groups of animals or assemblage of the animals which are adapted to wide variety of environmental conditions and spread in a very large area at definite intervals. We call those organisms as eurytopic, because these are some of the specialized animals, I should say that, which can adapt to wide variation of environmental problems, and whatever the food that is available, it is fine for them. They are not limited to any particular type of food. Instead of that, they can eat any food that is available, and they have the power to cross these barriers. And not only that, when they go to a new area, they can easily get adapted to that condition. These organisms show continuous distribution. All over the world they are there. Most of them are cosmopolitan distribution, that is uniform, they are found everywhere. To give some of the example for continuous distribution, rats, bats, hawks, cuckoos, cockroaches, flies, mosquitoes, lizards, snakes, and more. When we study these organisms, wherever we have to study the distribution, we say that cosmopolitan distribution. Here, bats, hawks, cuckoos, mosquitoes can fly, especially rats and cockroaches are very closely associated with the human beings. Along with the human beings, they must have entered into the new area where human beings could get colonized. But one thing, they are very hardy organisms in the sense they can tolerate the larger fluctuations of environment. So this has made those organisms show the continuous distribution pattern. Even in oceans, the green mussel, Mytilus, is found in almost all the seas and oceans. Brine shrimps, cockroaches are also like that. In the birds, hawks, cuckoos. In the mammals, rat, bat, etc. They show this continuous distribution pattern. And you remember, all those animals which I have listed are those animals which can thrive over a large area of the atmospheric changes. And they are, as I have told you, eutropic animals. That's why they exhibit this continuous distribution. On the other hand, the animals which are restricted to a definite area are called stenotopic. Eutropic, larger distribution, whereas the stenotopic, they have very limited distribution. For example, for stenotopic, which has a very restricted distribution, is peripatus, which are found only in very close to the Arctic region, not in the temperate or tropical conditions. So eutropic animals are adapted to wide variety of environmental conditions. They have no specificity for food. Many have the special power to cross the barriers, and many eutropic animals like mice and cockroaches have continued distribution because they are the companion of man. Along with the man, they must have traveled long distance with them, so that they have also become eutropic, that is wide distribution pattern. In this continuous distribution, again we have two types. Cosmopolitan distribution, where those animals are found in all climatic zones. If you take the hawk, the bird, It's a cosmopolitan distribution. Every climatic zone you can expect them. So this is one type of continuous distribution. Second one is circumpolar distribution. As far as their pattern of distribution is concerned, they are continuous. But these animals or plant species found only in a particular area of the globe, in a particular pole of the globe. The good example for this is polar bears, which are found only in the polar region. Their cousins are seen everywhere, but as far as the polar bears are concerned, they are confined to a particular pole of the globe. When I say particular pole of the globe, it is not a small area, still it is a very big area. Even we have another type, that is what you call circumboreal and circummastral. Circumboreal and circummastral distribution. What is this circumboreal and circumastral? Animals or plants or species which are found or distributed in the form of a clear continuous belt. For example, the temperate region of northern southern hemisphere. In this circumboreal, you can see throughout northern hemisphere, whereas circumastral throughout southern hemisphere. In the sense, these are the two regions should contain the same type of species, but not so. If at all they exhibit this type of pattern, we call it as circumboreal in the northern hemisphere. If the same is true for the southern hemisphere, we call it as circumancestral. Circumancestral in the southern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere, it is circumboreal. So this is about the continuous distribution, where you can see the animals are placed at a specific interval, or each animal has its own territory. Then the second type of distribution, as we know, discontinuous distribution. What is this discontinuous distribution? The name itself gives you some information. Generally, when a community of distribution of a species is broken by uninhabited area, that is the root cause for this discontinuous distribution. The example, the rhinoceros. They are found in Africa and in India. In between, there is a very large stretches of ocean and land. As a result, these two rhinoceros, Indian group is in Southeast Asia and another group is in Africa. Is a good example for discontinuous distribution. Generally, any animal can reach the far distant area by different means. Like it may be sweep take routes, insects, snails, and rats. They can travel by rafting. Even the turtles, by floating and swimming, they get colonized in a new area. There is no contiguity in between. They are highly dispersed. Probably this may also be true. The species were earlier distributed continuously by the land masses. But in course of time, in between the large mass of land, some intermediate areas develop. The understanding of this distribution, understand this distribution. Why once it was continuous and why not today? There may be some intermediate areas. They might have got submerged. When the intermediate area is submerged, many species cannot cross over this by breaking the barriers. Then what happens? That becomes widely separated population. Even the continental drift, which we have already discussed, it separated the continents and carried them to long distances, thereby isolating the animals from other areas. That is, when the continents separated, continents were moved apart a long distance. The animals found on them are also separated from the former areas. Probably many of the species have become extinct in this intermediate area because due to the challenges in the climate, to which the specimens are unable to adapt. Because of the submergence in the intermediate area, the total climate of that region changes. And when there is a change in the climatic condition, many organisms which are found in those regions might have become extinct. Why they have become extinct? They were unable to adapt to the new challenges of life. To give you an example for discontinuous distribution, The most interesting one, the phylum Onychophora represented by the peripatus. It has totally, there are 75 species of peripatus, but where all they are found, either in Southeast Asia, East India, East Indies, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, and South and Central America. Uh, if you talk about the lungfishes, there are only three surviving genera of lungfishes. Each group is located in different countries. Good example is Protopterus in Africa, Lepidophyte in South America, and Neocertodes in Australia. Though these were lungfishes, they have to struggle very hard when the environmental conditions changes. These are the three groups of onychophores which have shown the maximum flexibility with respect to their survival when unhostile conditions are thrown to them. They can adjust, adapt, but they are not distributed uniformly. Here and there, in some pockets of the world, these organisms are seen. To give some example, the ostriches are distributed in the southern hemisphere. Rhea americana in Argentina and Brazil, Strutisio, what you call camels in Africa, emu in Australia, cassowaries in the North Queensland and New Guinea. Kiwi is the bird in the forest of New Zealand. So, they are all showing this discontinuous distribution pattern. Even if you take the placental mammals, marsupials, these marsupials generally occur in Australia. But still you see one family, Didelphidia, occurs in the South America. So here the common camel, now you can see in the Sahara Desert like Middle East, India, Northern Africa, even other species of camels. There is the Camelus bactrians, is found in Mongolia and China. And two more hill species like Lama, there is the Vicuna and Lama guanaco. They are found in the mountainous region of South America. But to all of you again recall what I have told you. The origin is in North America, the camels. Even the two elephant species, what we call, that is Laxodonta africana occurs in Africa, while Elephas maximus is found in India, Burma, Thailand and Sri Lanka. These are all good examples for discontinuous distribution. One more example, the alligators occur in America and China. Alligators are seen in the Mississippi River of America, and the cousin of these alligators, caiman, which is found in South America, and alligator sinensis is seen in China. Now, the question is, what are the factors that are affecting, that are influencing this distribution? There are four main factors due to which animals and plants are prevented from spreading into every possible area. What are those? First one, the climate. All organisms are adapted to a particular combination of temperature and humidity. Any change in the climate in some of the surviving species also, it has resulted in the migration. Climate plays an important thing. Polar bears, penguins, they are found in the polar region where the sub-zero temperature one can expect. All amphibians need high humidity. So that's why amphibians are found very close to water bodies. For their survival and also to carry out reproduction. So that's why the frogs are very less where the rainfall is very scanty. But remember, majority of the animals, including the human beings, we cannot cross or survive in the desert due to the extremely low moisture and high temperature. So that's why amphibians are not seen in the desert regions. So that means these deserts are the effective barriers. Even the fishes, you can divide them into freshwater and marine because they have made restrictions to their very survival. Only a very few migratory fishes can make use of both the environment, like eel fishes. Second one is vegetation for the animals. Many of these animals are host specific if they are depending on the plants. They are host specific. Mainly the vegetation function as a host. The very sensitive plants and animals which are affected by food and other climate, all those factors, they cannot survive. Not only that, even the plants also, if you go to the mountain top where there is snowfall, you will see the coniferous forest with drooped leaves. That means ice will not be able to store on them. Ice can deposit but slowly slid out. The giant panda needs bamboo shoots. So that's why you can see the giant panda where there are enough bamboo shoots. Even koala, I think if my memory goes right, this also a pouched mammal, koala. It has to eat only the eucalyptus trees. So that's why they are found in those regions where there's eucalyptus, especially in Australia. Such animals cannot survive outside their habitat. Then the third important thing is, like vegetation, other animals, because all these animals are held in the food web by means of prey and predator relationship, even parasitic relationship. If an organism is a commensal or a symbiont or a antagonist, irrespective of the type of the interaction. Here you can see the very presence of a particular tree, particular animal. If this is there, that is there in the sense. For example, if there is an apple tree, earthworms will affect them like that because they are highly specific. Then sometimes two species which have similar ecological requirement, they become competitor, and one species survive and other one is thrown out. And the last one is the physical barriers like mountains, desert, rivers, where most of the organisms will not be able to cross over because no bridges, they have to cross. But if the animals are not knowing how to swim, how to cross them, they will not be there. There is a physical barriers. And amphibians cannot cross a sea. Whereas the amphibious reptiles such as tortoises and even lizards and snakes, by having thick and impervious skin, they must have crossed the seas to reach distant islands which are far away from mainland. Even the example of Galapagos Island. Sometimes the climate and scarcity of vegetation make certain places desert and mountains. Earlier they may be hosting number of plants and animals. Now they have become totally desert, and many of these organisms show the inability to walk over them. So these are some of the important barriers which bring or which has influence on animal distribution. So uh, this is what I wanted to discuss with you.